What is up, everybody? JT Dangerous here once again. I am here to do my 2018 Stanley Cup Playoffs first round predictions. Now, with the regular season in the books, we are now into my favorite part of the year and where it really matters, the Stanley Cup Playoffs, in which 16 teams are vying to win this year's Stanley Cup. Now, this one's a little bit more special to me, this year's Stanley Cup Playoffs, because both of my favorite teams, my New Jersey Devils and my San Jose Sharks, are both in the playoffs. So I'm very excited to do these predictions for you guys, and I hope you guys do enjoy. Now, our record last year was not great. I'll even admit that to you guys, folks. It was as cold as ice, no pun intended. So I'm really hoping that this year is my rebound year, and it starts right here in the first round with a winning record. Now, if this is your first time watching my channel as a first-time viewer, and this is your first video, boy, you picked a good one if you're a huge hockey fan and you're ready for the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Welcome to the Dangerous Lions. I am JT Dangerously, and welcome to the club, because this club is just to... Whoop, whoop. Again, thank you guys so very much. Now, other than that, let's get right into these first round predictions. Starting off in the Eastern Conference with the Tampa Bay Lightning facing off against my New Jersey Devils. Now, this is the third playoff meeting between the Devils and the Lightning, with the Devils having the advantage in the playoffs, beating the Tampa Bay Lightning twice. Their last meeting was the 2007 Eastern Conference quarterfinals, where the Devils won in 6 games. Now, in the regular season series, the Devils won all 3 regular season games. So the Devils are looking to once again knock off the Lightning in the playoffs. Now, starting off with the Tampa Bay Lightning, they're coming off a fantastic year this year. They are number 1 in the Eastern Conference, and they're looking to make another deep run in the playoffs and win only their second Stanley Cup. Their last one, 2004, 7 years ago. Now, they got some, with the players to look out for the Lightning, says like a who's who. Guys like Nikita Kucherov, I think this year's MVP. The Phenom Steven Stamkos, Braden Point, Victor Hedman, Tyler Johnson, and their fantastic goaltender Andrei Vasilevskiy. So, this Lightning's team could make a deep run, and they're looking to start it right here in this series. Then on the other side, you have my New Jersey Devils, who are making it back to the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time in 6 years. Last time they were here was they got all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals before losing to the Los Angeles Kings. So it's good to see the Devils back in the playoffs after five seasons of being in last place in the East. Now making it back to the playoffs, and they're looking to rise up and make some noise. Now, players to look out for my New Jersey Devils. Players like Taylor Hall, the backbone of our team, Travis Zajac, the best story in the NHL, Brian Boyle, Kyle Palmieri, and their dual-threaded goaltenders with Corey Schneider and Keith Kincaid. So this Devils team could be the team to look out for in the Eastern Conference. So coming from me in this first-round matchup, this one's tough. Again, it's great to see my Devils back in the playoffs. I mean, I've been a Devils fan since the late 90s when they had Brodeur and Elias and Gianta, and they're looking to win their fourth Stanley Cup championship. So coming from me, I can see the series going maybe 5, maybe 6 games, but I'm going to take... Unfortunately, I'm going to pick the Tampa Bay Lightning. I just think they're a much better team to defeat the New Jersey Devils, excuse me. And now the next matchup. It's a battle of 2 original 6 teams with featuring the Toronto Maple Leafs facing off against the Boston Bruins. Now, this is the 15th meeting in the playoffs between the Bruins and the Maple Leafs, with Toronto winning the last 8 out of the 14 meetings. Now, the last time these two met in the playoffs was the 2013 Eastern Conference quarterfinals, where Boston won in 7 games. Now, in the regular season series, Toronto beat Boston 3 out of the 4 times. So, Toronto is looking to continue their dominance against Boston in the playoffs. Now, starting off with the Maple Leafs, they're coming off a very tough loss last year to the Washington Capitals in the first round, but they made this year a big-time year. They made some huge acquisitions, and they're looking to end Canada's drought of winning the Stanley Cup. Now, here's a dangerous fact. It has been 25 years since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. The 1993 Canadiens were the last Canadian team to win. So, Toronto and Winnipeg have a chance to break that 25-year drought for Canadian teams to win the Stanley Cup. Now, players to look out for this fantastic Toronto Maple Leafs team coached by Mike Babcock. You got players like Austin Matthews. You have their newest addition, to that team. Patrick Marleau, a longtime San Jose Shark, Mitch Marner, Jake Gardner, William Nylander, James Van Riemsdyk, and their fantastic goaltender, Frederik Andersen. So this Toronto Maple Leafs team is by far maybe the most dangerous team in the playoffs because they have so much talent. They have Austin Matthews, who was a fantastic watch last year, and this year he is continuing his success. Adding a guy like a veteran like Patrick Marleau, one of my favorite San Jose Sharks when he was there. Adding him was a huge deal, and this Toronto team is really, really good. Then on the other side, you have the Boston Bruins, who are looking to continue their success in the playoffs. They've been here multiple times, and they're looking to win their first Stanley Cup in 7 years. So, and their players, they have some fantastic players who have a lot of experience, like Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, Sadeo Chara, Torrey Krug, Brian Giunta, and their fantastic goaltender who has been always lights out in Tuukka Rask. So this one's going to be a really good first-round matchup. I can see this series going maybe 6, maybe 7. So coming from me, this one's tough. This one's the toughest pick right here in the first round in the Eastern Conference. I'm going to go with the Boston Bruins to knock off the Toronto Maple Leafs. And now the next matchup, featuring the Columbus Blue Jackets facing off against the Washington Capitals. Now, this is the first time they've met each other in the playoffs between the Caps and the Blue Jackets. And in the regular season series, Washington won 3 out of 4. So this is going to be a really good first-round matchup. Now, starting off with the Columbus Blue Jackets, are coming off a very good year this year after being knocked out of the playoffs last year by the eventual champions, the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're coming into this year looking to make a huge impact. Now, players to look out for the Blue Jackets, players like Thomas Vanek, Brandon Dubinsky, Cam Atkinson, Seth Jones, Alex Broadhurst, and their fantastic goaltender, Sergei Bobrovsky. So they're looking to make a huge splash this year. Their thirst for the cup is very legitimate, and they're looking to make some history in the first round. Then on the other side, you have the Washington Capitals, who are coming off a second-round ousting last year in 7 games to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Once again, they have not gotten past the second round in their whole franchise's history, and it seems like the Washington curse is still upon us. I mean, the Wizards haven't gotten past the Eastern Conference Finals yet. The Nationals haven't got past the NLCS. The Redskins haven't got past the NFC Championship, and the Capitals have not gotten past the second round. So the Washington curse is still upon us. But that's the thing. This team is so damn good in the regular season, and when they get to when it really matters, the playoffs, they choke. They have some great players like Alexander Ovechkin, who won the scoring title, TJ Oshie, Nicholas Backstrom, Matt Niskanen, Evgeny Kuznetsov, and their fantastic goaltender, Braden Holtby. But they're like the Chiefs. They can have the most points in the NHL. They can have the number 1 seed, but when they get to the playoffs, they choke, and that's what the Capitals are. They're choke artists. I got to be blunt about it. The Capitals are choke artists, and I feel bad for players like Alexander Ovechkin, who had an amazing year this year, and it feels like their season is gonna be a joke if they don't get past the second round. And all of what Ovechkin's done, 600 career goals. It's just not it's something to behold to have him have 600 goals, but where's the Stanley Cup? I mean, that's Ovechkin's problem. He can have all the goals in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, he has not got the big one. He hasn't got that brass ring in the Stanley Cup. So the Washington team is looking to break a long-time curse for their franchise. So coming from me in this first-round matchup, I can see this going 6. I can see the series going definitely 6 or less. But I'm going to go with the Washington Capitals to defeat the Columbus Blue Jackets. And now the final first round matchup in the Eastern Conference, and it's a huge rivalry in the NHL, featuring the Philadelphia Flyers facing off against the reigning Eastern Conference champions and the reigning Stanley Cup champions, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, this is the 7th playoff meeting between the Flyers and the Penguins, with Philly winning 4 of the last 6 series. And the last time they met each other in the playoffs was the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals, where the Flyers beat the Penguins in 6 games. Now, in the regular season series, the Penguins swept the Flyers, so the champs are looking to once again take out the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, starting off with the Flyers first, they're coming off a fantastic year. They had to win on the last day of the second to last day of the regular season against the Rangers, and have a lot of they just needed 1 point to clinch, and they got it done in a shutout. This team has come a long way. They did not make the playoffs last year, but making it this year is a huge accomplishment, and they're also looking to continue the success of Philadelphia sports teams. I mean, you have the Eagles winning the Super Bowl this year. You have the Villanova Wildcats winning the national championship in basketball. The Philly season has already started. So the city of Philadelphia is going to be rocking for the Flyers this year. Now, some of the great players on their teams: Captain Claude Giroux, Jakub Voracek, Wayne Simmons, Shane Couturier, Valtteri Filppula, and their dual threats at goaltenders with Brian Elliott and Michael Njorven. So this Flyers team could make a deep run and continue the Philly magic right now. Then on the other side, you have the reigning champs, the Pittsburgh Penguins, who, of course, won the Stanley Cup last year, and they're looking to go back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Now, their team hasn't changed at all since last season. It's the same people we saw in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. Players like Sid the Kid, Sid Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Phil Kessel, Chris Letang, Patrick Hornquist, and their goaltender Matt Murray. So this Penguins team are looking to make another deep run and looking to win their third consecutive Stanley Cup championship. So coming from me in this matchup, I can see the series going 7. Easily, this series is going to go 7 because of how much these two teams hate each other. So, coming from me, this one's tough again. I have no love lost for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, I'm not a fan of them after what they did to my Sharks in the Stanley Cup in 2016. But coming from me, I just think Pittsburgh has the more experienced players. No offense to any players on the Flyers, but I just think this Penguins team is going to get it done. So I'm taking the Pittsburgh Penguins to defeat the Philadelphia Flyers. And now into the Western Conference, on the Western Conference side, starting off with the number 1 team in the Western Conference, the President's Trophy winner and last year's Stanley Cup runner-up. They are the Nashville Predators facing off against the Colorado Avalanche. Now, this is the first ever meeting between the Predators and the Avalanche in the playoffs, and in the regular season series, Nashville swept the Avalanche. So Nashville is looking to continue their dominance against the Colorado Avalanche. Now, starting off with the Nashville Predators, they're coming in after losing last year in the Stanley Cup Finals, more hungry than ever, and them winning the President's Trophy has maybe a clear ticket back to the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, here's a dangerous fact. The last time a President's Cup winner won the Stanley Cup was the 2012-2013 Blackhawks. Since then, President's Cup winners are 0-4 in winning the Stanley Cup. So Nashville's looking to end that streak and win their first Stanley Cup in their franchise's history, and they're looking to do it this season. Now, they have some fantastic players like P.K. Subban, Roman Yoshi, Ryan Johansson, Philip Forsberg, Victor Arvidsson, and their fantastic goalie, the league leader in wins this year, Pekka Rinne. So this Nashville team is looking to make Nashville Smashville once again and looking to make another deep run this year in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now on the other side, you have the Colorado Avalanche, who are maybe the best story of the year. After going 50 losses last season, they went from worst team to a playoff team this year, and that's saying a lot for a team that hasn't won the Stanley Cup in so long. I mean, they haven't won the Stanley Cup since the days of Joe Sakic and Raymond Bourque. But this team is pretty very talented. Players like Nathan McKinnon, Tyson Barter, Matt Nieta, Nikita Zadorov. Some of these players I don't know. And there's dual-threading goaltenders of Semyon Varlamov and Jonathan Bernier. But this team can definitely shock some people, because the Avalanche have already shocked the NHL world by coming back from a 50-loss season to a playoff year. So coming from me in this first round matchup, I can see this maybe going 5, maybe 6, but I'm going to take the reigning Western Conference champions, the Nashville Predators, to defeat the Colorado Avalanche. And now the next matchup, a really interesting first round battle featuring the Minnesota Wild facing off against the Winnipeg Jets. Now, this is the first playoff meeting between Winnipeg and Minnesota, with Winnipeg winning the regular season series, winning 3 games out of 4. So Winnipeg is looking to continue their dominance against the Minnesota Wild. Now, starting off with the Wild, they're coming off a very good year. Once again, they always have seen more improvement year after year. They have some fantastic players like Eric Staal, Mikko Koivu, Jason Zucker, Jared Spurgeon, Mikhail Gradlon, and Zach Parise. Now, they did lose a huge piece of their puzzle with Ryan Suter. He's going to be out for the year, so that's a huge loss for the Wild, and of course their goaltender Devin Dubnyk. But losing Suter is huge for the Minnesota Wild, because if you have him and Mikko Koivu and Eric Staal and Zach Parise, it would have been a very dangerous team. But losing Mikko Koivu was, coming from me, a huge loss. Then on the other side, you have the Winnipeg Jets. Once again, one of the 2 Canadian teams looking to end Canada's 25-year drought. Now, this Winnipeg Jets team has always been good. I mean, they have some fantastic players like Dustin Byfuglien, Patrick Lane, Blake Wheeler, and their goaltender who won the most games as a U.S.-born goalie, Connor Hellebuyck. So this is going to be a really good series coming from me. So coming from me, I can see this going maybe 5, maybe 6 games. But I'm going to take... This one's a tricky one. I'm going to take the Winnipeg Jets to defeat the Minnesota Wild. And now the next matchup, featuring the surprising Vegas Golden Knights facing off against the Los Angeles Kings. Now, this is the first playoff meeting between the Golden Knights and the Los Angeles Kings, in which their regular season series saw a split. So whoever wins this will break that 2-2 split in the regular season and start in the playoffs. Now, starting off with the Vegas Golden Knights, what a year. What a year for this team that started their first season this year. An expansion team that was made this year, and they've already made the playoffs. It's unheard of that this team, in their first year in existence, make the playoffs. But this Vegas Golden Knights team did it, and it's saying a lot for a team that a lot of people didn't think would make the playoffs. They actually did. Now, players to look out for the Vegas Golden Knights, players like James Neal, Shea Theodore, David Perron, William Karlsson, Jonathan Marchand, Eric Holla, and their fantastic goaltender, a former Stanley Cup champion, Marc-Andre Fleury. But this Vegas Golden Knights team is maybe the biggest story in the Western Conference, because a team that was established this season makes the playoffs, and it's saying it's a huge deal. Then on the other side, you have the Los Angeles Kings, who really haven't changed their team at all. I mean, the former 2-time Stanley Cup champions really haven't made any big-time moves to change their team. They still have the same usual guys like Anze Kopitar, Dustin Brown, Drew Doughty, Tyler Toffoli, Jake Muzzin, and goaltender Jonathan Quick. So this one's a very interesting matchup. It's experience versus inexperience. It's, say it like this, it's David versus Goliath in this Western Conference matchup. So coming from me, I can see this series going 6. I can see this series going definitely 6 games. So coming from me, as much as I hate the Kings, being a San Jose Sharks fan, I want to see this Vegas Golden Knights go deep in this year. So coming from me, I am taking the Vegas Golden Knights to upset the Los Angeles Kings. And now the final matchup in the Western Conference, and it's a Pacific Division rivalry featuring the Anaheim Ducks facing off against my favorite team, the San Jose Sharks. Now, this is only the second meeting between these two in the playoffs, with their last meeting happening in the 2009 Western Conference quarterfinals, where the Ducks beat my Sharks in 6 games. And now in the regular season series, we won 3 out of 4 from Anaheim. So we're looking to knock off a very good Anaheim Ducks team. Now, starting off with the Ducks, they're coming off nearly making it back to the Stanley Cup Finals last year, but losing to the eventual Western Conference champions, the Nashville Predators, in 7 games. But this Ducks team hasn't really changed either, just like with the Kings. The Ducks really stick to their main guys, players like Corey Perry, Ryan Getzlaf, Adam Henrique, Francois Beauchemin, Patrick Eves, Ricard Racal, and John Gibson, their goaltender. But they did lose a huge addition to their team with Cam Fowler being out for 2 to 6 weeks with I think it was an injury, but losing Cam Fowler for the Ducks, they're fantastic defenseman, hurts them big time. And Kevin Bieksa as another player to look out for. But this Ducks team is looking to win their second Stanley Cup. Their last one, 2007. That was 11 years ago. But this Ducks team's got a tough task. Then on the other side, you have my San Jose Sharks, who are coming off that year last year, not getting knocked off by the Edmonton Oilers, which, again, I had no problem losing to the Edmonton Oilers. That team last year was amazing. But this year, San Jose Sharks team is, coming from me, my favorite Sharks year this year. I mean, they did lose some players like Patrick Marleau and a few others, but they put the right pieces together with players like Logan Couture, Tomas Hertl, Joe Pavelski, or the Big Pavelski, the veteran Joe Thornton, or Jumbo Joe, the newest addition to the San Jose Sharks via the trade deadline, Evander Kane, who has been on a hot streak with us. You have Brett Burns, last year's Norris Trophy winner, Jonas Donskoy, or the Don Father, and their goaltender Martin Jones. So my Sharks this season have been amazing. I mean, the Evander Kane move was huge because throughout the years, we really haven't made a big-time move in the trade deadline for years. But finally, we made a big move in getting Evander Kane, and he has been the hottest Shark on our team right now. And with players like Joe Pavelski, Joe Thornton, Logan Couture, Brett Burns, Jonas Donskoy, this team can make another deep run and maybe get back to the Stanley Cup playoffs. So coming from me in this final first-round matchup of this year's Stanley Cup playoffs, I don't want to be biased, but the Sharks are going to dine on some duck soup in this series. So coming from me in this matchup, I'm taking my San Jose Sharks to defeat the Anaheim Ducks. And those were my 2018 Stanley Cup Playoffs first-round predictions. Now, I hope you guys did enjoy these predictions today. Comment below, who do you have winning all of these matchups in the Eastern and the Western Conference? As always, represent your team in the comments if you're a hockey fan. Even if they're not, even if they didn't make the playoffs, represent your team in the comments section below. I would love to see that. Let's have a conversation about it. Of course, I'm always on to see your comment, like it, and of course, reply right back to you. These comments are absolutely always welcome on this channel. Now, I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching. Now, before you go, you can never forget to do this. That like button, comment, share with your friends. Of course, super kick that like button like only you guys can. Of course, you can never forget to do this as well. That subscribe button, become part of this bigger and dangerous alliance, and I will see you guys this Wednesday for my 2018 NBA playoffs first round prediction. Later days and peace.